Hi, everyone.
All right, it is 5:07. I apologize for being late. We are going to call this meeting to order. Let's all do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
America,
To the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do the roll call.
Chair John Woodward, absent. Chair Hans Booty. Commissioner Kevin Hilton. Commissioner Kathleen Davasaros. Present. Commissioner Viviana Gama. Present. Commissioner Francine Goodwin,
Present,
and that concludes your roll call.
And Gabby, are there any comments from the public, anybody on the line or anybody here in attendance?
There was nobody here. And nobody has their hands up.
Great. Well, we are going to move on to service award presentation.
Okay. We have a certificate of service for Anthony Palacio for 5 years of law service. Is he here?
No,
Okay, well, we will make sure to give him his certificate and let him know that we appreciate all his law service and all the efforts that he's put forth to make this a strong team and agency.
Great. Thank you, Andrew. We're going to move on to item 5, which is the consent agenda. Anybody like to make a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. And I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda.
Vice Chair Hans Booty,
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kathleen Davasaros,
yes,
Commissioner Viviana Gama.
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodwin.
yes,
That agenda is approved. We're going to move on to item 6, reports of committees, and we're going to start with personnel.
okay, so we did meet last week. And I believe everything is on the agenda that was on our agenda for the personnel.
I think the Finance and Development Committee meeting was canceled. That's great. Okay, and then how about, I guess Commissioner Wizard isn't here, but is Lika anything to add on Monterey County Housing Inc. and GAA?
Yeah, they had their meeting and we've been working on their priority list for the MOU. They had a couple of items that they really were concerned about. Some of them we already resolved and the other ones will be included in the MOU. Primarily, the focus right now is the PBB units at Parkside 2. And they are also wanting to expedite having it completed so that May 1st, they can get a new property management company for the 3 properties that we are doing a management on right now. We are waiting on the 2021 audit to be completed because we need that because of the Casanova sale and things of that nature to get the figures correct. Mr. Atkins says that he should have it completed. So if that's completed on time, we'll be able to execute so that May 1st, we should be able to get them all of their funds and stop doing the management. So you will get a draft MOU before that, but it's really dependent on the 21 audit.
Great. Commissioners, any questions about that?
Does it affect the tenants at all?
Well, it'll be a change in property management, so hopefully they get a quality company. So that the tenants will have a high level of customer service. But that's about it, yeah. Other than that, we only had 1 employee that would be affected. We've already got a plan for that. So it's really not gonna be a loss on the agency side. And then just hopefully they'll get a very, high level property management company to take our place. So the tenants won't have to suffer any issues.
I just have one question. What other assets does Beachy own?
Oh, they got a list of, it's probably gonna be 2 pages, well, not just, they own those properties,
Yeah.
but we have a bunch of loans,
Oh,
promissory, those things of that nature, but just those 3 properties, Leo Myers, Parkside 2, and, Cardenas.
got it. Okay. All right, well, we're gonna move on to item 7, which is report of the secretary, otherwise known as the executive director.
Yeah, I just have 2 things. One, this is for a resolution to create a director of asset management and compliance position. We have an asset management position that's under property management right now. So what I want to do is take that position and use it for this director of asset management and compliance program. So what would happen is the person will be the asset manager first. They will look at properties for HACM, HDC, and they'll also look at compliance issues for both of those entities and our Section 8 program. And probably in about a year or so, depending on how that turns out and some of the other future plans for the agency, then that person may be able to transition to this director of asset management and compliance. Right now, it's something that's needed, but the level at which it's needed is still being determined. So I think it'd be good to have a succession plan. They start out as the asset manager. They work with all 3 of those areas. And then depending on how it comes out, either they stay the asset manager or it transitions to the director of asset management and compliance. And they will report to the executive director. That way they'll have autonomy for the other programs to be able to give reports, make suggestions, things of that nature. But you'll never have them both at the same time, so that way we can save money on it too. Then there's a copy of the job description attached. And we got the annual plan draft. We had a meeting for anyone, the public, want to make comments. We had, some people actually came in, it was a very lively meeting.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Sir.
Lucille, it was raining that day too, and so Lucille conducted the meeting, she answered all the questions. They brought out some really good points that was looked at, and some of it was incorporated already into the plan. So we had a really good discussion on that, and we right on time to submit it to her for approval after we get the board to review the final. These are just the drafts. Put that over here. And one more, oh, you know what, that's in my, in the other session, so that's it right now for my report.
Great. Commissioners, questions on the report?
I know, when we met for the personnel committee, one of the questions that I did ask Monica, if this new position, did it cross over to another director's duties?
And it does, yeah, it's part of the restructure and the reorganization. That's why I wanted the person in that position to report directly to the executive director. Because they'll be looking at the asset management and the property management in HDC, which is now a responsibility of Carolina and Jose. Then they'll also be looking at the compliance issues in HCV, which is Maria's department. So what it is another set of eyes that knows all the rules and regulations so that we can do spot checks, we can do training. And what the purpose is to get rid of all these findings. We have a lot of audit findings. You know, we just have a lot of issues in the departments. And so to get somebody else to be able to look at it, generate the reports, assist me training their existing staff and maybe them in some cases. And then we can, you know, be more aggressive about making changes. And then that person will report to me, because I've already done an assessment, but I always like to have another person look too. That's why I said we'll never have both positions at one time, and we'll see how the position grows. Because it might be something that we need to continue, and again, it could be something that could be absorbed into one of those other departments after we, you know, address some of the problem areas.
Thank you, Monica.
Oh, you're welcome.
I mean, I think it's a good idea. Obviously, compliance has been a bugaboo for us going all the way back to the RAD conversion. And I think having the ability to, you know, have a second set of eyes where this is like their main job is the compliance piece to spot check files, just see, hey, can we catch any issues? Look at the processes and procedures, I mean, I had to do I had to fill out a form for the auditor about, and there was a lot of questions about our processes and procedures about fraud prevention. And, you know, I think that's an area where we could also improve, right? And so, similarly in some of these areas, so I think it's a good idea, and clearly, like, you know, these layered finance structures are complicated, and you have multiple, you know, requirements from the feds, from the state, right? And so it's important.
Cause there are times and everything, and then splitting it like that is not a burden on any one department. So it'd be 33.3 for HDC and for property management, and 33.4 for HCB.
Yeah.
So that way it'll help with the cost of the position.
I had a couple of questions on just the annual plan, and mine was mostly just about like where we are with some of the changes we recently made to the voucher program. So for example, like current payment standards, I know that I guess we thought we applied for an exemption that we didn't actually apply for. I'm just curious, like, where the payment standards stand now relative to.
But we got sent in a waiver and they approved it. And so we were able to go to the 120%. And it actually was a part of the plan that mentioned that already because they thought they had applied. But we have been approved for the 120%. So as soon as I found out we didn't have it, we immediately sent it in the hood.
Got it.
Yeah, so-
And the set asides, we had like a 10% set aside for homeless and 10%
All
set
of
aside
that is
for.
still in place.
That's in place.
Mm.
And is it working? Is the streamline, we're trying to streamline the process for qualifying. Is that okay?
Well, we had some internal processes that I think were really kind of holding up the referral process, and just, we were putting some barriers in our way with the way that it was organized once we received the referrals. And also, I did talk to COC and the Department of, what is it? Human Service, DSS, got the name, but their referral process also needed to be changed because they were not sending us sufficient referrals and they didn't have any case management attached. And at one point, they just kind of stopped. So the COC is even looking at their whole plan to get it changed for coordinated entry. But a lot of it, we have a lot of internal issues too that was causing problems. And then we have a lot of preferences. We put the preferences on hold. But I was gonna ask you for the next meeting to get rid of some of those preferences so that we can keep the ones that we really need. So that way we'll be able to exhaust the waiting list from 2020 and then come back and pick up the ones that's working. Because right now you have, how many is like 17 of them?
We got rid of those, but they're still in place for the people who are already on the big list.
Yeah,
Is that
we
what you're saying?
didn't get rid of them, we just put them on hold, like there's the HSADP, we put those on hold until April the 25th. So then we'll have to put them back on, well, they're on the list, but we just changed the shuffle of the ranking. But right now, you know, because just for an example, we scheduled over 100 families and a lot of them didn't qualify, lost their preferences. So it's a burden for us and for the clients because when they apply online, they mark all of the preferences.
Well, we don't
Got
get
rid of
rid
this.
of
So
that.
basically you're saying it was just, we just
Yeah,
paused.
but-
Oh,
Yeah, so we don't come back and get rid of
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
but we're gonna, I can get rid of all of them, some of them we do need. And then y'all there, when we get Rent Cafe, it's only gonna let them check the preference they actually qualify for. So right now, they checking all of them, so you have to check them for all 17 or 18. But when we get Rent Cafe, if they check one, like if I'm 54 and I'm trying to do the one for the senior, it'll automatically decline me from having that preference, so my application will be better for eligibility. But that we need to see which ones we definitely need.
yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't understand that. That was just a temporary.
Yeah, it was a whole, so
Great.
it was taking them a long time.
Maybe at the next meeting,
It was gonna be really on something that's better down.
we got it. Is that what you meant by the processes?
Well, that's just one of them. We still had some internal processes that we needed to work on that we actually just sent out the changes on. And they're gonna take effect on April 1st for the HCB department and the property management department. And some in finance as well.
Great. All right, any other questions on the report? No? Okay, well then we are gonna move along. to. So next up, we have new business, which is resolution 3083, approving the addition of the position director of asset. Approval.
I will second.
Vice Chair Hans Booker,
Yes.
Commissioner Kevin Haley,
Yes.
Commissioner Kathleen Bellastros,
Yes.
Commissioner Viviana Gamma,
Yes.
Commissioner Francine Goodman. Commissioner Francine Goodman,
Yes,
thank you.
sorry.
No problem. All right.
Okay, it passes. We're gonna move on to item 9, which is information items. And item 9A is schedule for PHA annual plan. FYP, July 2023.
And what we did, I just added in here so that you'll have a draft to look at for informational purposes. And if you see anything that you got questions about, let us know, because again, this is just a draft. So we still have time to make changes.
Okay. Any questions on 9A?
No.
Okay. I just had a quick question, which was more about like a scheduling thing. You know, at some point when toward leaving, we had talked about having a discussion about kind of a policy level discussion about Section 8, project-based vouchers.
Mhm.
And so anyway, I don't know if that's something. to think about.
You mentioned it, and I think we still need to have a discussion, probably when we, talk next month about the preferences as well. But the way the plan is drawn out, if we make a significant change, we still got time to add it, and then if we wanna wait to do something, it just stay as it is.
Okay,
We need to get the approximate number that we have.
got it. Okay. I know they had done some analysis on like kind of how many they thought we could.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Okay, we're gonna do item 9B, the human resource.
Good evening, everyone, board, and members of the board. For this month in HR, we do have some exciting things happening. Our openings right now currently are still the director of finance, director of HR, housing program specialist, 2 family sufficient coordinators, and maintenance, 1 position. Right now, currently, we did have and kind of concluded the director of finance. The past week, he actually made an offer to a candidate, and we're just kind of waiting for him to kind of start, hopefully by next week, April 3rd. That's kind of the anticipation date, but we're excited about that. I know it's been kind of long overdue.
Are we waiting for that person to start or accept?
Start.
Oh,
He
wow.
accepted the position already.
What's the profile?
He does have some background in accounting. He held various positions as a controller, chief of finance, throughout for many years. I believe over 10 years experience in it. He does.
Time in on this,
Yeah.
James, because I knew somebody was gonna ask. He, was chief, no, he was a controller, a CFO, director of finance, he's been a consultant. At one time, he was a licensed CPA in Oklahoma. He has an MBA from California and BS also, and it is focused in accounting and finance.
That's great.
So that way he'll be really strong for all the stuff that we're doing. He worked with nonprofits and developments before. And he have a lot of leadership qualities and transferable skills. Now, he haven't worked for a housing authority, but he's done retail, healthcare, just a plethora of things. And so when we did on the interview, and I was asking him different questions, and James was asking him questions, he was able to translate it from what his experience was. So that's gonna be a plus.
So this is somebody who, do they already live in the area? Or they
Lives in Gilmore.
So it's local.
Yep, so
Right,
relocation fee. And he's like I say, he have a really commanding type presence, I thought, and a lot of leadership skills, the way he was talking, he's a trainer.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we need, you know, and I don't think it'll be hard for him to catch up with what we're doing with his skill set.
Well, that's
Yeah.
great news. We've been looking for that for a while.
I know, we got somebody around too.
Yeah, so you checked a lot of boxes there. Good job.
I mean, we did have other two potential candidates that were very strong candidates as well, but I think that him with his experience and, you know, his education, he can actually lead our team.
That's great.
So looking forward to that.
Do you think you guys could? I may have missed it in here. If there's not. Circulate a resume.
Absolutely.
Okay. Did I jump in there? Or we-
Yes, I still have a few more things I want to go over weekend. As far as the satisfaction with HACM, this month we were kind of delayed in March as far as being kind of the all-around reviews for employees. We're going to be launching that actually today is the first day to launch. Where in all managers and supervisors will be conducting performance appraisals rather than have it spread out throughout the year, where it's kind of less confusing. So March will be every year conducted employee appraisals. That's what we'll be doing. And then we did going back to the kind of the recruitment part, terminate an employee. It was a HACM employee, temporary, and then we did have one resignation this past month as well that I want to kind of touch base on that. As far as the mask mandate, it is optional now for clients and also for the employees. And that kind of sums up my report for this one.
And your newsletter.
Oh, my newsletter that was attached. I'm sorry. Yes, so that one has been a very kind of positive thing with the team. They like the communication moving forward. So now every month we'll be having and launching out a company newsletter to just kind of showcase any changes that were happening throughout the agency.
Great. I saw the newsletter, which good, there's some cool graphics in there. So I don't know. Is that Gabby, maybe?
No, not this time. So they have my approval.
Okay, any other questions on the HR side?
So I don't think it's an HR side, but you mentioned the mask. When is the lobby gonna open?
Want to open up May the 1st. We have so many changes going on internally right now. I want to kind of get them time to get the training, get a little settled, and then open back up to the public.
That's a great question. And then, let's see, the position that got terminated, are you able to say what the role was? Just
They were a HACM temp. They worked in section 8. Yeah, offices this. Yeah.
okay,
Sure. James, so, or Zuliko maybe could answer this. So do you think, is, you know, with all the adjustments, you know, not, if the mask is not mandatory. And then the adjustments, you know, with the employee appraisal. So do you feel like the level of the employee, it's rising, you know, how can I say that? Yeah, the morale is it, do you feel like it's getting better?
I think it is getting better, for the most part. What I noticed here, we kind of a roller coaster. We'll do some things, the morale will get up really high, and then something small will happen. And it kind of takes them back, and they need to do some reaffirmation. But overall, I would say, I think the morale has improved a lot.
And then just to add to that, the changes that we're implementing now, you know, they're kind of changes that need to happen, you know, and the team sees it, each department sees the kind of the future of where we're heading towards now. So they're actually all for the changes. Those that left us or kind of, you know, those casualties are unfortunate. However, we're kind of, Salika and I are kind of in a headspace of giving to promoting people within and then kind of moving forward in that direction. And the team's all for that as well.
And they had meetings where they got to put in input, every employee got an opportunity to speak.
Sorry.
Thank
They
you.
got to talk to the union as well.
Thank you.
all right. Well, let's move on to item 9C, which is the finance.
Hello, everybody. For finance, we're still working with BDO, and we're working right now with the VMS reporting and how to simplify it. We still have a couple of trainings left We're doing one this next week, and accounting has attended a training. We're trying to start internal trainings also with people and to get their work up to speed. And we're working with procurement right now also to eliminate our outstanding items. We're hoping to transition into pay scan in Yardi, which will make our payments go smoother, and then they'll go as an ACH to the bank instead of sending checks out. We're also planning on doing an inventory probably by June. And so we're working on that. And then all the tax returns for the limited partnerships have been approved, and those have went out. We're still working on the HACM audit. We completed the initial items, and now they're going to start sending us open items, and we're hoping to have all the open items done within the next couple of weeks. We're working on the budgets, so those should be ready for the next board meeting. We've already sent in the King City budget, and that one is under review by the state, and we should hopefully have a resolution for the contract at the next board meeting. Also, we met with our staff, and we're going to start working on some one-on-ones with them so that they can start working on procedure manuals for their position. And that way, no matter who's there in the position, they'll have something concrete to go back to. That'll give them instruction. And we think that that'll help, because in the past, we've had so much turnover. It's been really hard to get people trained and stay trained and to understand what they're doing. So that's one of our goals, is to create that procedure manual. And then some of the processes we were doing in accounting are getting moved over to property management. And we've already begun training with them, and they'll start doing it themselves on the 1st of April. And I will help supervise that and make sure that they're doing this correctly and answer the questions and everything. And that's about it.
Questions? Yeah, Kim, thanks for keeping us afloat during a long hiring process for this position.
Thank you.
The only question I have is just you don't have to give me a specific number, but in terms of our CAC position and when we get paid there.
We're doing okay. I'm hoping that by having this new director come in, that they'll have some different ideas about things. And also the working on the procurement process and getting that pay scan in. I think it'll help simplify things, where before it just seemed like our mail, things were getting lost in the mail, our checks were getting lost in the mail. And so now we'll have a process where we'll bypass that.
But in terms of the actual amount of cash we have,
Yes, because I know that there's things coming up in the future.
okay.
We are not as financially healthy as we could be.
Yes.
We are financially sound,
Okay.
but it's a difference in being financially healthy. So when we put these new processes in place and then go back and recapture some funds that we didn't get that were owed to us previously, and straighten out a couple of things that's in accounts payables and receivables, we'll be much better off. So we're okay.
Okay.
We're doing okay, but we can do better.
Are we gonna get this developer fee at some point? The Parkside deal,
Yes.
Is that the kind of thing that's gonna help us?
That'll help us, that'll help on the HDC side, but we need to look at it all the way across, because Stefan have some,
You're gonna kind of keep it over at HDC.
yeah, so that way HUD won't, But we're gonna straighten out some things on the helping side too, because this money's old, they hadn't been collected. Just little things like that, that's been it. And then the agency was, I don't know, I don't wanna say it in a bad way, but they just kind of used to spending. So it was, discharge and spending, so we're putting a lot of tightness on that and putting more rules and regulations to control the inventory and the money that's going out every month.
Okay, well, we're gonna move on to item 9D, the property management report. Jose on the line.
Yes,
Be here with us next time.
Yeah, good afternoon, commissioners. I want to apologize. I was stuck in the office working with Kim's department to finalize some of the items on the audit, so I couldn't be there physically. But it's been a very exciting month for my department. It's been a lot of good news, and I want to thank Ms. Boykin because she's made a lot of progress with us in our department, and everything is moving towards a very good direction. We've been improving in a lot of our operations, and we're doing more changes in the department that are going to help us to perform and just, be better at what we do. Just to tie into James' comments on the morale for the agency. We're proposing all these changes to staff, and staff have been very receptive, understanding of the direction that the agency is moving to, and at least on the feedback that I received from our staff, everything they see it as very positive. So I want to thank Ms. Boykin for that. Then on my report, one of the biggest highlights of my report is the CSP request, request for COVID. So far, we received an approval for 103,699. We're pending 2 more approvals in the amount of 158,871. So once it's all done and approved, we're hoping to have received $262,570 from those requests. So we're just pending on the last 2, and I'm very, very happy for that. I'm very proud of that work. It was a lot of work between different departments to get that completed, but I want to thank everyone that participated. We've also completed our OCAF submission to HUD. We received approval for 2 of the properties. We're pending approval for the rest. We got approved for the mass annual recertifications for some of the properties, where most of the properties except for property 802. So we're waiting on that approval. The AOCs and the POPs to the state have been submitted. The welfare exemptions were completed. The city data reporting has been completed. The demographic reports were completed. We've been doing a lot of reports that are due to different entities. We're working with different agencies and different sources. So it's been a lot of work, a lot of reporting for many of the properties. I'm working also with Ms. Boykin on Pueblo del Mar. We have some ideas on what we can do with the property to improve the occupancy, as well as to maybe change the funding. We're gonna have some meetings and some visits to the property, and hopefully we can make some changes, substantial changes at Pueblo del Mar. We've also requested CNA for one of our properties. We're waiting for that report to analyze it and see what we're going to be doing with that property. It's one of the farm labor properties. We're also moving forward with some of the changes that we had planned, like screening. Screening is going to be a very significant change in our department that is used for evaluating applicants, and it will make it a lot easier for us. It will streamline the process on how we allow people to come into the program. We've already met with Yardi. We're setting up that, and that is going to be a huge help for my department and to streamline the process and be more effective. We're also doing mobile maintenance. Mobile maintenance is going to be a very important change as well. It's going to allow us to do all of our work orders electronically. We won't have to do any more paper. It will be better tracking. It's just better accountability, and it will streamline our whole process of work orders. So those are 2 big changes that are happening, and we're waiting for the biggest one, which is Rent Cafe, which we will hopefully have in the coming months. Other than that, we've been working diligently to get our vouchers submitted on time. We received our voucher payments. We've been doing rent collection. We've been doing good on our rent collection. We're at 97%. The only thing that we're having right now is our vacancies. We need to increase our vacancy, the number of days our units are vacant. So we're working very diligently on pushing staff to get that completed so that we can have those units that we have vacant, leased as soon as possible. But it's been a very, very exciting month for us. It's going to continue to be a very exciting next half of the year. And we're really hoping that all these changes will make our department better. And I just want to thank everyone that has assisted or helped in any of our projects. HR, Carolina, Kim, and Executive Director. So I thank everyone for their support and their help. And that's the conclusion of my report, unless the board has any questions.
Jose, before you finish, tell them about the deal you got for the tablets.
Oh, yes. So for mobile maintenance, we had received a quote from our current carrier, is Verizon. We received a quote for the cost of the tablets was going to be about $10,000, $12,000 with the initial cost. And then our monthly payment was going to be $1,200 a month. So I spoke to another carrier. They were able to give us all the tablets that we need for mobile maintenance for free of charge. And we're only, our monthly cost is going to be about $700 a month. So that is a huge, huge, huge savings for us. So I'm really proud of that. And, we're making big progress in our department. So, yeah.
Any questions on the property management side? Okay, then we are going to move on to 9E, which is the development report.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see everyone in person after so long.
Wow.
I will start off with some really good news. I got confirmation today from CREA on Castroville, our last equity installment that we've been pending. So they approved everything we submitted after a few emails and phone calls, and we'll be getting the 2.4 million wired to us on April 10th. And that will take care of our deferred developer fee note that we had executed at close. So the remainder of that note is about 1.5 million. The remaining funds are going to be used to pay off a portion of a general partner capital contribution that we also did at close. So it'll be money, like Zulika said, it'll be coming back to the agency.
This is not Parkside.
No, this is Castroville. So Parkside, that one is still in process. We're currently working on leasing up the last few units. We're down to 3, actually technically down to 1. There was a move-in happening today, another one tomorrow, and the last family that Section 8's working on now today, property management did their piece. They should be ready to go hopefully tomorrow. So we're gonna make the cutoff for the end of March so that now we can focus on stabilization and getting all of our, financial documents and everything else that we all have to, work together so that we can convert and get the loan out of construction and into current finance. So yeah, that pay-in, we'll do the conversion and then we'll do the 3 million second capital contribution as soon as we can show our partner that we've got stabilization done, and we've been working on all the other items on the list.
Awesome.
So within the next few months, hopefully those 2 things will be off our list.
That's great.
Some other little projects we've got going on, that Hacienda's metals is still not complete. That the architect has to do an actual drawing to figure out what we've had Fred on our team who's gone out there and done some markings on the railing. We're actually going to remove some of the metal railings since that settlement was for such a small amount compared to what we initially estimated. That the architect's okay with us removing some of that railing that's all corroded, and I don't know if you've driven by there, it just looks really, it's falling apart. So we're going to be able to remove some of it. It's just decorative. We don't need it. So it'll look much better. It'll be in a better condition. That's going to take some time to do because we'll need his drawing, and then Fred's got the scope of work out with the contractor to do that piece. Then we have another component to that job that's removal of the sunshades that are up above some of the tenant doors that are also the metal ceiling. Those need to be replaced. We're probably going to do similar to what we have tonight. So we're working on that work. Out at Rippling River, the engineers with all the weather that we've had in the area have been really busy, and so they've kind of put off finalizing our geotech report, but they said that by the end of this week, we should have it so that we can figure out what we're gonna do with that cliff erosion that's happening at the back of the property. So once we get that, we'll take a look at it and see what, will be a big project also that will need to take place out there. Tyne Village, I think I had mentioned the additional water intrusion that's happening out there. Part of it on one building is warranty work that's gonna take place, if the contractor's gonna come back and take care of it. The other work is not, it's work that was done back in 2016 by another contractor that's no longer in business, so I've got proposals out with the constructive testing company, and so we're pending, depending on what the results of that testing is, I'll let everyone know what, how extensive that damage is. We had a lender come out and do an inspection out at Casanova. We'll be meeting to go over, there's some capital needs that were brought up. The most expensive one, I guess, that will take place is a roof. So we may have to do a new roof out there. I'm not sure how soon, but he did make it a point to point out some roof leaks out there and parking lot needs resurfacing. So it's gonna be quite a bit of money to spend on a property that we just refinanced. So I will keep everyone posted on that. We're all looking forward, our team's looking forward to a meeting with Mike Development so that we can, start planning strategically for our future in development and how that's gonna look. We've got a lot of, we all know there's a lot of properties that are coming up with limited partner exits. So I'm looking forward to, hearing from them and their expertise. They've got so much knowledge so that they can assist us in how best for us to plan for the future. I've got the property management information for John Stewart and Paso, if anybody's got any questions on that, but the properties are doing well, they're moving well. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add right now. If anybody has any questions for me?
Questions in the moment, so. Are we kind of waiting a little bit on the talking to the night folks before we kind of get new stuff?
Really is waiting on, well, I don't know if they're waiting on them, we're really waiting on the audits. They get a good financial picture of what's going on and then collect the money from the waterfalls, development fees, so we can see where we are. Because we have been talking to the city about some development, and then there have been a couple of private investors who want to do some work, but we just need to see where our funding is, so we'll know what we can apply for, what type of gap money we need, stuff like that.
Okay. All right, well, we're gonna move on to 9F, which is housing program work.
Good evening, commissioners. Pretty much on the HPV, there are upcoming changes within the department. Right now for the project base, we're looking at probably going to be advertising again for the 4 and 5 bedrooms for project base. Right now, we really don't have that many people on the waiting list, and we do have vacancies to try to fill those 4 and 5 bedrooms. But the market is really, we don't have families, large families. So it's been very difficult for us to get families for the larger bedroom size. And the majority are in the South County. So we're going to be advertising to try to see if we can get more families to apply. As for One Parkside, like Carolina mentioned, we do have one family. Hopefully by tomorrow, the One Parkside will be filled up. We would be 100% occupied. As for the Housing Choice Voucher Program, there is, we're working on scheduling a lot of families. As you could see on the report, we did schedule 230 families, and you could see on there, it's a breakdown of how many people showed up. They were rescheduled, and people work. So it's taken a toll for a lot of our staff, when we do schedule all the families, they're calling in, they're just not providing all the documentation that we are needing. I also listed the issued and visas you requested, Mr. Luder. Wanted to kind of get an average of how many families have been briefed for release. So as of this year, You know, I did put the breakdown for the coming months for January and February. For the month of March, you know, we got 19 scheduled for the briefing. We still have a lot of people still pending their paperwork. Hopefully by April, we'll have a large number for brief. I also want to let the board know that we also contacted a third-party inspector to do our inspections instead of internally. We did have one person, so now we have an internal, and well, he's our inspector that does the conflict ones. So he'll be doing online inspections, so hopefully our number will now increase and show a reset. We're also based on the waiver that we submitted to HUD that we were approved. We're going to be getting a tap person that used to live here. She's going to be helping us to do the interim recertification that will help our HAP, so we could expend our funds for that. So hopefully we'll get that all done by the end of, she'll be here for 6 months to help us with that. As far as for the EHV, you know, Jalika did mention that we are having some issues of getting referrals. So hopefully by the end of this week, we will be getting more referrals and we'll be scheduling more families to come in. I also included on the report, as you can see, this is something for the board, is the 2-year tool chart that I attached. I know it's kind of small, but I don't know if you're able to see. This is the 2-year tool that we will be using, and I'll be working on this on a weekly basis. This will help us to make better decisions regarding leasing and also spending the funds for the Healthy Choice voucher program. As for example, I did put on there, you know, this helps us with our payment standard changes or for the program costs and also for the rent burden family. And it's attached to this report. And so you could see how this 2-year tool is being utilized, and HUD also uses this tool. So if you have any questions, you might.
Commissioners, any questions? And then as we start our report.
It might be, I appreciate you including the 2-year tool. It's the first time, so there's a bit for me to digest, but maybe we could schedule some time on one of the subsequent meetings to help you get your help to focus on the appropriate areas.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I had a couple questions. So help me just walk through. So we have 230 folks scheduled. When it says remaining scheduled, what does that mean?
The remaining work is for the following weeks, because
Yeah.
you know, within the month we scheduled, you know, I have 2 eligibility specialists, so we try to schedule them to know as we can. We do have an upcoming mass orientation in April. We're working on a Saturday.
Yeah.
To try to get more families in.
And are they able to do any of these things remotely, or do you have to do it in person?
We've tried remotely to do it and find appointments, you know, get mail out appointments. Unfortunately, a lot of the families that when they receive the packet, they have a difficult understanding how to fill out the paperwork, or you know, or they don't provide other documents. So it makes it more difficult for us to try to get all that information in. So we've tried every method unless, you know, there is another way. I know that our next, we're looking at Rent Cafe, that everything's going to be online, but you may have those that still need to be seen or come in because they don't understand. We have all the documents translated in English and Spanish, but even in Spanish, people still don't understand. So they have questions. So we've tried everything.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, yeah, just giving some thought to that.
I think what we need to do is increase our partner agencies out in the county. So that way, maybe they could provide some of those services for people who don't have family members to assist them. Kind of go over with them what's needed, and they can help them put it together, but they can email it in or, you know, do something remotely. Because we need to take advantage of that.
As far as for HDB, you know, there's required documentation. For EHB, you know, we have a lot, that is self-certified, which is a lot easier. But even with EHB, when they do the referral process, You know, when we get the referrals, we try to schedule them within that week. Because if not, if we take too long, we lose connection, we lose contact with the client. Because of homework. So then the housing navigator or the partner agency is trying to reach out to that, and they also, they can't find them. So it's a work in progress with working with agency.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes there's a time lag on these things too, but, you know, obviously if you look at the headline number, you say we issued one voucher, I see that's. uneven.
It's just the beginning. But like Zuleika said, and we want to bring it to the board, you know, we want to be able to get it approved by just having a fighting in time and one may have some preferences, because by having preferences, it makes it very difficult for us. Because a lot of families say that, you know, they're in a place that they accept Section 8, and when we do the, then we find out, oh, honestly, no, I don't accept Section 8. You know, so then they go back and they get placed back on the waiting list and the order maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said before, I think this is just an area where like a lot of our units are in the voucher program. And so like this is the area where we can have a ton of impact and trying to find a way to make this process more efficient, up our success rate. You know, I work in the Dallas area with multiple housing authorities, and like I've said before, I just have a terrible experience as de facto the landlord. With long wait times, people have been looking back to me, and so I just want to make sure that we're having that, you know, issue here. So I just think it's something to continue to dig on and try to, you know,
It's a lot of room for improvement, and next month you'll have another resolution. I gotta talk to Jose about it, because we have vouchers, but we don't use them for HECM or HDC. So we need to put a policy in place for their waiting list, so that people that we issue vouchers to can get points to skip to the top of their waiting list. So that way, it's just a regular HCV family, Maria them approve them, then we can be the landlord. Because a lot of times they have problems finding landlords, and then that'll help the financial stability of the properties. It'll help house the people quicker. And it just be a win for the agency and the resident, because we are good property managers and we're gonna take care of, but we need to adjust the policy a little bit on the waiting list management for those units.
Yep. And then my only other question was like on the FSS side, we have 200 slots, and we have 69 families participating. Is there, are families just not interested, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, the prior FSS coordinator, she's no longer here. So that is something that Angelica and I will be working when we do hire for the new FSS. We will be working with our HCD client. So just try to see what we could do to try to encourage them to get in the program for the FSS, because it is a good program. And so we kind of have to strategize what is best and find a way to get more interested applicants on for the FSS. So hopefully we're interviewing, I believe, on Monday, April the 3rd for new FSS. Angelica will be assisting us with that.
And two, for the FSS program, I think it was a lack of knowledge on the staff part, not really engaging in, you know, talking about the escrows, just not familiar enough with the program to kind of sell it all the time. And the previous person that was doing the program, I think she worked really hard, but I think she worked herself in circles, and that's why it wasn't productive. Because when we start talking about how it actually works, you could tell there was a lot of training that needed to be done. And if you need training, then it's hard for you to engage other people to participate in the program. But those are things that I already talked with Maria about. She's gonna start being the supervisor, because it was the HCV supervisor was supervising it.
Yeah.
That person gonna go directly to her, and I'm gonna work with her to create a training program and a monthly report that's gonna show all the activity and really measure out what they're doing, so we can make sure the two people stay on the track.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's the information item. So I guess now we are going to move to item 10, which is a closed session discussion about personnel matters. Government Code Section 54597. All right, we are back from closed session, and we have nothing to report out that action was taken. We're gonna move on to item 11, which is commissioner comments. We're just going this way, so let's start with Commissioner Valtero.
So I was very excited to be in person, so thank you to whoever allowed us to be here in person. I just want to say congrats to Andrew Palacios for his 5 years of service. And just want to thank the staff, all the information starting from Zalika. And also because Jose mentioned you, the direction that you're giving to the agency, appreciate that. And to all of you, thank you for your reports, appreciate it. We do read them, we do look at them. And, you know, we know that there's time spent with these agendas. So thank you, Gabby. Thank you so much, Sue.
And then for me, I'm glad to be back in person. Nice to see everybody. Oh, I lost his name's Andrew. Congratulations to Andrew. And to all the staff for all your reports.
I would echo the sentiment as it relates to being back in person. Nice to see all of you again after a very long time. It was, Viviana, we're saying more than 2 years. And it's the last time we've sat here together. So, pleasure being back. Thank you all very much for all of your continued hard work. And I wanted to say thank you very much to Lika and Gabby for helping with the arrangements for going to the NARO conference last week. It was very informative, and it was again nice to be back in person. Brought all the materials back, and highly recommend the book. Mr. Drucker, I believe is his name. He was the keynote speaker at the conference. It was really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, me? Oh, I just wanted to thank everybody for all their hard work and the information that was provided for a very informative meeting. Thank you.
Great, and I think those comments cover most of my thoughts. You know, I'm excited about us moving forward and trying to institute some of these reforms and push forward on things. So with that, we are going to adjourn the meeting at 6:56 p.m.
The meeting of the Monterey County Housing and Redevelopment Corporation at what is now 6:56 p.m. Spend the pledge since we did it in the Housing Authority meeting. Roll call.
Chair Kevin Healy, Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
Here.
Director Kathleen Ballesteros, absent. Director Hans Luder,
Present.
Director Viviana Gama, present, and Director John Wizard, absent.
We do have a quorum. Correct, with four of us. Gabby, are there any comments from the public?
No. And there was no one outside.
Moving on to item 4A, consent agenda, approval of the minutes from our February 27th meeting.
Approval.
Second that.
It's been moved by Director Gama, seconded by Director Bluder. Roll call.
Chair Kevin Healy,
Yes.
Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
Yes.
Director Kathleen Ballesteros, absent. Director Hans Luder,
Yes.
Director Viviana Gama.
Yep.
And Director John Wizard, absent.
Motion passes. Moving on to new business, item 5A, MDC 5, resolution to approve the proposal from Knight Development.
Knight Development is a development company that's ran by Holly Knight. She used to work for HUD, and she's assisted many housing authorities throughout the United States. They do tax credit, multifamily, rehab, they work on relocation, and they have a team of professionals. So what the proposal is for them to come in, look at the HDC and HACM, review the department, look at some of the deals, the waterfalls, development fees, things of that nature, review some of the I think 4 of the deals that we've done in the past to make suggestions look at the portfolio for re-syndication and do training and just help us to go to the next steps of development.
Questions? Proposed resolution.
No.
Okay, motion.
I move approval.
I second that.
Been moved by Director Dom, seconded by Director Bueller to approve resolution HDC 225. Roll call.
Chair Kevin Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Francine Goodwin,
I guess,
Director Kathleen Bellesaros is absent, Director Hans Bueller,
Yes.
Director Viviana Gama.
Yes.
And Director John Wizard is absent.
Richardson, yes, I get.
I should say it, I guess.
Francine, just to double check, you said.
yes, yeah, I said yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on from new business to information items. Item 6A. Mr. Costa, anything to add to the property management report from our earlier meeting?
No, everything else.
You're here to give that presentation in person. Did you have any? Thank you. Questions on the property management report? Great. Moving on to item 6B, the development report.
And nothing to add.
Okay, you beat me to my question. Questions for the development report? Hearing none, that will take us to our item 7A, closed session for government code section 54956.9 subpart B subpart 2 litigation. We do.
Two.
Okay, they're gonna record and back in progress.
Here. Yeah, so.
It's back on.
All right, we'll reconvene to open session, the meeting of the Housing Development Corporation with nothing to report out from our closed session. Thank you, Francine. Do you want to give any comments? We would love to hear your comments, but I think we could all pass.
Okay, just wanted to thank everybody for their time and their hard work, because I know this hasn't been always easy. And anyway, thank you and have a great week.
You too.
You too.
Further comments? That's all.
All right, bye, Francine.
Bye.
18, huh? Well, this is 22 and she lives in LA.